Alright everybody, how's it going? Today's date is February 2nd, 2019, Groundhog Day I believe, so I hope everyone's had a safe winter. I know here in the Midwest it has been frigid and cold. Our wind chills the other day were up to -60, so yeah. Alright, but anyways, I know I don't really do this that often anymore. I'm really not as into the movie collecting and stuff as I used to be. I sold most of my collection off. I know I did a video in September talking about stuff that I had gathered over the course of like 2 years. I've come into a lot of stuff recently though, especially over Christmas, spending some Christmas money and stuff. I got a lot that piqued my interest, enough definitely to do another video on, so I figured, hey, why not bring that to you guys tonight? And this is gonna be one hell of a video. I've got some very interesting stuff to talk about. The majority of this is actually going to be TV shows, but I do have some movies in there that we'll talk about first. You guys are going to want to stick around for this one. I've got this definitely the most batshit bunch of stuff I think I've had to talk about yet. So, alright, here we go. Our first movie that I got the Blu-ray, DVD, and digital pack of Tag. I actually saw this in the theater over the summer, and I really enjoyed it. The true story it's based on alone is really wacky and goofy, but it's nice, even though it's based on a true story, it's not necessarily, 100% fiction. It's still nice to see a comedy with a genuinely new plot that we really haven't seen before. I mean, a group of guys playing tag for 30-something years, and they're still going, that's the kind of thing, it's like, oh, how did I think of that? It was fun. I saw it in the theater. All the actors are a lot of fun, and lots of laugh-out-loud moments. It's not your typical just, where all the humor comes from awkward situations or sex or drug. I mean, there's some of that in here, but for the most part, it's a pretty fun, just kind of slapstick, situational comedy. Ed Helms is good. He pretty much plays the same character he always plays. Hannibal Buress is a lot of fun. Isla Fisher is over the top and crazy. The only weird thing with this movie I thought was the ending. I thought the ending was kind of sudden and ambiguous, with the twist they throw in there. Because they throw this twist in at the end, and you think it's going to be like a gag. You think it's going to be a joke but they kind of just roll with it, and the movie ends. I thought that was weird. So if I have one gripe about this, I think it has kind of a weird ending. But other than that, it's an entertaining, fun movie. Tag. This one was goofy as hell. I don't know where what the inspiration for this was. Because as you guys know, I'm a comedy major. I study here in Chicago at the Second City, working on my comedy degree. And so I like diving into the goofier, weirder movies, which is how this came into the picture, and it was entertaining, but it was strange. It's the movie Disorderlies, starring the Fat Boys. You have a really weird movie where it's just a bunch. It's essentially like a Three Stooges type thing. It's the fat guys playing the Three Stooges essentially, and they have to take care of this millionaire who they're trying to kill him to inherit the money. Typical kind of plot like that, with just tons of sticky jokes, lots of weight jokes, and every scene there's just riddled with cartoony sound effects. Like if someone gets bonked on the head, it's like boing, and you look over like every single action in that movie has a crazy sound effect. So, is this good? I'm not gonna say yes, but it's certainly goofy as hell and entertaining, at least for one watch. I'm trying to think. I watched it. I had some fun with it, though. I don't know. It's all right. It's not that bad. It's just really hokey and really goofy. If you can get past the goofiness of it, you'll enjoy that a lot. And then this one, I had never. It's 10 years old now, 2009, and the fact I'm saying 2009 was 10 years ago is terrifying. But anyways, this had always slipped my radar. I had never heard of this movie until a bunch of people I watch on YouTube all kind of started talking about it around the same time. So I'm not sure what the resurgence was with this. It's the movie Command Performance with Dolph Lundgren. And I always liked Dolph Lundgren. I own a couple. You know, Rocky IV, obviously everybody knows. He was in View to a Kill briefly. The Peacekeeper. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I have a Detention, which that's a fun one. I like Detention. It's like Die Hard in a high school, but that one's funny. I like Detention. I think I got more. I don't know. But Command Performance, if I say Detention is like Die Hard in a high school, this is Die Hard at a rock concert. The biggest comparison I have for this movie is Sudden Death with Van Damme. Just replace hockey arena with rock concert, and that's what this is. It's basically like Sudden Death, but it's a lot of fun. Dolph character, Joe, it's fun to watch. Like, there's a lot of music-related hijinks in this movie, like there's one guy getting stabbed through the eye with a drumstick, or there's a scene I really like too where they're in the concert hall, they got a bunch of hostages in there, and Dolph's backstage, they don't know he's backstage, so he turns up the volume on all the amps, he just wails on the electric guitar and everyone goes dead. Like, it's stuff like that that's fun. It's a direct-to-video movie, and you could tell it's a low-budget movie. There's really no way around that. Some of the CG effects aren't that good, but for the most part, it's enjoyable, and that stuff is few and far between. You know, because something like this could have easily been dog shit, and thankfully it wasn't. And I'm glad it wasn't. It was a tense movie. The end fight is alright. Maybe a little bit bigger of a comeuppance at the end for the bad guy, but it's still a decent fight at the end, so... Yeah, Command Performance, solid action movie. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. I had never seen this movie, and it was a pretty common one in the 90s, so I figured I just had to pick it up. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. It's Home Alone times 5. I disagree with that statement, I will say like that. This movie's it's got a good cast, and it has an awesome soundtrack. I don't know what the impulse was to get the all 80s rock soundtrack. I love the sound. This movie's got some great songs in it. Namely Perfect World, which there's like 5 different versions of that song, but Perfect World's in it. That's a great song. But basically it's a sitcom. It's a 90-minute sitcom episode where it's self-explanatory. So you got the kids, mom goes away, leaves them with this old hag of a babysitter that's basically like a military and sergeant type, bossy, you know, to all the kids. She dies. It's like, oh, we got the house by ourselves, now we got to take care of everything, and that could have been really fun, but they kind of, in the middle of the movie, they kind of throw all that to the side, and it becomes all about Christina Applegate getting a job in this higher-up office, and it becomes a lot about that, and ultimately leading into the finale. You know, it's a good story, it's good acting and stuff, but it kind of slows down. I wish it would have been more focused just like on the comedy of the people trying to take care of the house. I mean, granted, you know, how do you make a full movie about that? But, you know, that's where you gotta get creative. I was gonna say something else about this. I forgot. Like, it's kind of like that Michael J. Fox movie, Greedy. Like, you have all that fun stuff with the family in, like, the first 45 minutes or so, but then after that, it just kind of turns into a drama. And it started, like, you have this great setup, and then it just kind of, that's how I felt about this. I mean, it's not bad, it's pretty well done. It's 1991, and it shows. It is an extremely early 90s movie, but yeah, overall, it's alright, you know. That's my main thing. It feels like a 90-minute sitcom episode, and I feel like they spent too much time on the work drama of Christina Applegate, rather than just kind of more comedy of it. Overall, it's pretty good, though. Now this. This was a movie, I had never heard of this before. But I am glad I watched it, because I shared this with a couple of my friends, and this movie has become a huge hit with all of us. And it's become a big inside joke as well, because of how batshit it is. And it's this movie called Traxx, starring Shadoe Stevens and Robert Davi. Basically what this is, it's a gigantic satire on 80s action movies. Like, it's a parody and it's a satire. So it plays with all the stereotypical things you would see in an 80s, like the black sidekick, or the love interest coming out of nowhere, and just the way this movie is fucking hilarious. I remember I was watching this movie, I was laughing my ass off. First of all, I don't know how they get... This is Shadoe Stevens' only starring acting role in pretty much anything, and he nails it as just this guy Traxx, who just walks around the whole movie with a shit-eating grin, baking cookies. That's the whole plot with this movie. He's a cookie baker. And all he wants to do is bake his cookies. But he's going around taking out the trash of the town so he can open up his cookie business. That's the basic plot. And you have a cop that looks exactly like Reginald Vell Johnson, and Robert Davi's the bad guy. This movie is just all kinds of fucking insane. From a random dance montage out of nowhere in the middle of the movie to these action scenes that make no sense whatsoever. And it even has his own theme song. You know, Traxx, ain't gonna take it anymore. And all of the lyrics just rhyme with the word Traxx. So it's like, you better relax, 'cause here comes Traxx. Get the facts, or deal with Traxx. If you're dealing with the maniacs, send them to Traxx. Like, and this movie ends with one of the most random but amazing cameos ever put to film in the 80s. So if you like 80s action movies, or you like 80s comedies, I would give this a watch. It is this fucking insane spoof parody. It's in the same vein as stuff like Airplane and Naked Gun. You know, think about stuff like that and then just watch Traxx. But Traxx just takes itself so fucking seriously, but it doesn't at the same time. It's pretty amazing. I mean, there's some of the dialogue in this movie, too. I'm trying to remember what his... Shadoe Stevens has some amazing dialogue in that, too. A lot about the cookies and just... Traxx. Just... I don't think it's ever been officially released, which does not surprise me in the slightest. I think it's actually on YouTube, though, if you want to watch it on YouTube, so yeah. There's Traxx. And if that wasn't insane enough, here we have... I don't know how the fuck I found this movie, but it's called Hawk Jones. Now, in case none of you have ever heard of what Hawk Jones is, it was made in 1986. It is an action thriller exploitation movie where the cast is 110% made up of 8-year-old children. So you have a bunch of 8-year-old children running around shooting each other, chasing each other, car chases. Hawk Jones. I mean, look. I was sitting there watching this movie. First of all, this would never fucking get made today. No questions. And it's all little kids, and they're like, occasionally you'll have like a sexual innuendo in there, but then it's like all this. They live in a city called Minitropolis. Minitropolis. And the main villain is this punk rocky little kid called the Destroyer. I'd rather see Lyle Alzado in this, but other than that, it's... And like, you have lines of dialogue. Like, you have 2 7-year-olds talking. It's like, I remember when we were kids and we used to go out all the time. Oh yeah, them were the days. What? But the thing is, the kid actors, and which is all of them, there's not a single adult anywhere on screen in this movie. It's all kids. And they just... Like, the kids take it so seriously. Like, each and every kid is so committed to this. It's ridiculous. I'm like... I don't know how this got made. I really don't. But it's Hawk Jones. Bunch of 8-year-old kids running around shooting one another, making their own cop. And it's played... It's not like Traxx, where it's just so tongue-in-cheek. Like, this is... Like, the kids... actors in this are all so serious. Like, they're... You could tell, like, they're having fun, they're being kids, but they're still actually kind of trying. I don't know what the hell to say about this. Like, I was watching this movie, I was texting one of my friends, and I told them about this movie, and they're like, oh, dude, you're finally watching that? How is it? And my response was, dude, I've died, but I don't know if I've gone to heaven or hell. That's my response to watching Hawk Jones. Now we get to the TV shows. I'm going to start off with all the obscure ones. I found this great guy online sells just all these rare shows that were never released. Whether they were hits or not, you just have a bunch of these shows from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s that were just never released, and this guy's got them all. And, he puts out his DVDs. A great, really nice guy, too. I've communicated with him a lot, so I picked up gave me a good deal on all these shows, so I picked up these first couple of shows from him. First one I got is TNT, the complete series. It is a buddy cop show with Mr. T, called TNT, from the late 80s. Out of all the shows I have here, this is the longest running. I think there's like 80 episodes. There's a lot. This is 11 discs that I have between these two. I think they're all kind of scrunched in there like that. Now, the show itself, you're humored watching this. You go through the first couple episodes, you see this buddy cop show that is so ridiculous because it's Mr. T being Mr. T. And for the first couple episodes, that's fun. But the further you keep going, I think I've watched the first 6 episodes of this, and I don't know. I don't plan on binging this. Occasionally I'll probably go back to it, watch a couple, but maybe, unless it changes drastically, I don't know how they milked this for 3 seasons. Because, it's all pretty standard. The plots aren't too crazy. They're typical 80s cop show kind of plots, It was funny, the second episode was them. They actually got the 80s band Platinum Blonde in there, and the episode was about the band Platinum Blonde. So, and seeing the lead singer of that band hanging out with Mr. T was strangely hilarious. It's an alright show, but I can kind of see why it isn't remembered like Miami Vice or anything. It's okay, but, and as I said, there's 11 discs there. I've only watched the first one so far just because, I don't know, it seems kind of formulaic. The gag of seeing Mr. T attempting to do that buddy cop show gets old kind of quick. And then we have a show from 1996, 95, 96, somewhere around there. I believe this aired on Fox alongside the X-Files, when that was really getting going there in the mid to late 90s. And it's another, it's got a supernatural aura to it, even though it's not fully a supernatural show. It's this show with D.B. Sweeney. I got it because it sounded interesting. This show called Strange Luck. And this one was a shorter run. There's 16, 17 episodes of it. I've watched the first maybe 5 or 6. And again, it's an alright show. It's pretty good. There's, as I said, I've gotten to episode 6 now, and, they kind of formulate. It's I don't know how they keep the gist of this show going, because basically all this show is, it's like a crime, not crime, but it's just kind of like a thriller type show where every episode there's some sketchy happenings going on, and D.B. Sweeney wanders into them, and it's about D.B. Sweeney working with his people to try to solve the mystery or fix whatever problem is going on. And very 90s, I will say that. And it's a good show. D.B. Sweeney's a great actor. Everyone in the show is a great actor. And as I said, I've still got 10, 11 episodes of this I haven't even watched, so I might not have even seen the most insane of this show yet. It's nothing that I can binge, because I was sitting there watching some of these, and by the time, the episodes do kind of run dry on you. So I'll plan on revisiting this. It's just not, it's not binge-worthy, it's not something that I could sit there glued to the screen. And then this one I got because of how weird it sounded. I had never heard of this before. I haven't heard of any of these before in my life, by the way. I had never heard of this before. If any of you have, let me know, but I doubt it. It's this show called Johnny Bago. This show is insane. And so basically, the plot, it's 8 episodes, so that's good. I have watched all 8 of them. So basically, Johnny Bago is about this guy. He gets out of jail after he was framed for a murder, and right when he gets out, he gets framed for another murder. So he is on the run in this Winnebago that he took from this old man who passed away, and he renames himself Johnny Bago. And each of the 8 episodes, it's him in a different part of the country wandering into some weird situation that he must resolve. And while he's doing this, his ex-wife, who is his parole officer, is chasing him around trying to bring him to jail. Yeah, it's Johnny Bago. I mean, so like the second episode was when he finds himself in some town and there's a little girl that's dying of bone cancer, and he must face his fear of needles to donate his bone marrow to her. And there's like a love interest with the doctor. And the weirdest episode, though, there's an episode where he's in the woods and he gets a job as an owl photographer going around taking pictures of owls. And in the process, he discovers the real Elvis Presley living in a trailer in the middle of the woods. And so the episode is just him hanging out with Elvis Presley. And at the end, like, there's this weird war between the environmentalist tree huggers and the lumberjacks. There's like a showdown at the end that is only resolved when Elvis Presley stands up and starts playing music and everyone starts dancing. It was entertaining, but I can't say I'm going to revisit this. And there was a circus episode that was weird. The last episode was like a James Bond type thing that was... There's only 8 episodes, so it's not like I was suffering long. But it was a weird watch. And now, we get to... See, when I ordered all these shows for the same reason. I was under the interpretation all of these shows were going to be really stupid and entertaining. And for the most part, especially with Johnny Bago, you know, that was the case. They were stupid, and they were entertaining, but I couldn't really say they were good. And this show in particular is the one, when I ordered it, I said, that looks really stupid. I don't know if I'll like this or not. Ladies and gentlemen, this might be my favorite show. It ran for 18 episodes, you know, including the pilot movie. It ran for 18 episodes. I binged all 18 of these in a day and a half. I fucking loved this show, and I cannot recommend this enough. It's a buddy cop show with John Ashton and Richard Tyson from 1989 called Hardball. This show is amazing. Like, seriously, you could find the intro on YouTube to this. I went through this show in a day and a half. Like, I could not get enough of this. It's basically that. It's a buddy cop show with 2 of them, but the episodes, this is, in my opinion, this blows Miami Vice out of the water, by the way, because every episode, it's not a comedy, but it's not so serious. Like, there's a lot of comedy and self-awareness in these episodes. And John Ashton and Richard Tyson are perfect in their roles. And every episode, the 18 episodes, no plots get recycled. It's not like Miami Vice, where every episode was just like arms dealers and drug smugglers. All 18 of these episodes, it's something different, and it's something creative. Like, it's something fun and unique. Like some highlight episode, there was a Halloween episode of this where they were going up against a satanic cult. There was an episode where they're protecting this actress. That was awesome. There's a Vegas episode. So many of these. The bomb episode was great. But my favorite, trying to determine which one's my favorite. No, okay. My favorite episode of this, it's an episode called Prescription for Murder. It's an episode that takes place entirely in one night in a hospital. And it's hilarious, it's suspenseful, it's mysterious, and it's action-packed, all rolled into one. And that's what I love about this show. Unlike Miami Vice and shows like that, these episodes, every episode is filled with action. It's not like every 80s cop show where they save the action till the end of the episode. Every episode of this show is action-packed. The stunts are awesome. The comedy in this show is amazing. Really witty, well-written humor. And the actors are just great guest stars throughout. Like, seriously, I love this. If you like 80s action, 80s cop, and you haven't seen Hardball, you have to seek this out. This show is amazing. As I said, it's probably like my new favorite show. Because I could not get enough of this. And out of these shows that I just talked about, this was the one I watched first. So it was like, wow. And none of the shows after it came close. It's so much fun, though. Like, the hospital episode, Prescription for Murder, the satanic cult episode was great. The serial bomber episode. There's an episode called The Out of Towner with Jordan Lunn that's really good. I can't recommend this enough. Look up the intro on YouTube, Hardball 1989. This show is incredible. Extremely, severely underrated show. Alright, now that's all from that guy. And now just some more common, no more bootlegs from here on out. I got from Target, Stranger Things 2, which I liked. I didn't like it as much as Stranger Things 1, because when the first season of Stranger Things came out, it was like a novelty, it was like, it was this interesting little 80s throwback. It was like a Stephen King miniseries type thing on Netflix, and, it was cool. It was creative, it was new, while still borrowing from a lot of well-known 80s, horror stories, especially Stephen King, John Carpenter. So there was like a novelty to it. Now it's like, okay, now it's really established in pop culture and stuff. So everyone knows Stranger Things now. So it didn't have as much luster as that first season had. And even the storyline, I didn't think the episodes here were as good as season 1. But it's still good. It's Stranger Things, and I am a Stranger Things fan. I'm looking forward to the 4th of July this year for the new Stranger Things 3. I can't wait. I don't know where the hell they're going to go beyond this, so that'll be, it'll be fun to watch and figure it out. Sean Astin is in this season. That's a good one, and I like the Target, the way they're selling it. And they did the same thing with 1, where it's in the VHS box. If you open it, the DVDs are in this VHS-like sleeve, and it comes with some behind-the-scenes pictures and stuff for you. Stranger Things is a great show. I know I kind of just ragged on this, but all I'm saying is it's a good time. If you're a fan of Stranger Things, you'll like it. I just didn't think it was as good as Stranger Things 1, because Stranger Things 1 came out of the blue and was, just like a cool new thing. And now it's not really a novelty anymore. Now it's an actual successful run. So. And then, we always talk about the cartoons, like Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad. This one has always been my favorite. In my opinion, it's the most well-written. Early Simpsons. Early, like Simpsons from seasons 3 through 12. Those are like on a plat. Maybe even before. Like Simpsons, like 3 through 8, maybe. That's like the goal. Like, it's hard to get to that level, but this comes close. And because this is not written like The Simpsons. This show is not written like Family Guy. This show could easily be a live-action show. There's nothing overly... It's a realistic cartoon, and that's what I like about it. It's just the way the characters are. It's always been one of my favorites. And it's King of the Hill, season 7 and 8. And both of these have some great episodes. Season 7 has one of my all-time favorite episodes of the show called Mega Dale, which is the one where they're in the Megalo Mart looking for Chuck Mangione. The Fat and the Furious, with Bill entering a hot dog contest. And, season 7 also has the episode Pygmalion, which is the episode that Michael Keaton did a guest spot in. I guess that's it's a Halloween episode. I guess it's a pretty controversial one because of how dark it is. And I guess it was originally written in the 5th season and it got banned because of the disturbing nature of it. I don't think it's that bad. It's a fun episode, and there's a lot of creepy pastas and stuff about that episode, Pygmalion. It's a good episode, though. I liked it, but Mega Dale is my favorite episode of Season 7. No bad ones, really. It's all good. And then, same thing with Season 8. Season 8's got a lot of fun ones. If I had to pick a favorite of Season 8, I think it would be Living on Red's Vitamin C and Propane, where they they're driving a semi-truck, bringing all this furniture. It's so funny. That one's great. Dale Tech. Yeah, I love King of the Hill. The shows nowadays, The Simpsons has not been funny for the past 10 years. No, more than that. Simpsons hasn't been funny for the past 15 years. Family Guy, I mean, Family Guy is pretty much anti-comedy. I never got into American Dad, sad to say. So King of the Hill's always been 7 and 8. And I'm going to keep collecting it so I have all of them too. King of the Hill, you know, it's a great show. And now these next 3 were actually gifts. These were actually given to me by a friend because online, you know, we like talking about our childhood shows. And I think it's important to honor what you watched when you were a little kid because it's kind of what shapes you. You know, like that's what you grew up on. And I feel like it's important to always kind of keep that inner child, you know, intact with you and remember where you came from. Like remembering your path of what made you you. So so that's why I got these, and it's great to have. And this is gonna sound stupid. I plan on buying more of these just to have as a part of the ones that I would watch a lot as a little kid. You know, I would love to have them in the collection. You know, because it's your upbringing. It's where you came from. And I think having that as a part of your collection is kind of a cool thing, you know. That way you can look up and you have your collection of everything you like watching, but you also remember what made you you, like the first things you would ever watch. And so what I have here, the first one is Arthur. Arthur was always one of my favorite cartoons growing up. I was never into Cartoon Network or anything. I was always PBS. I was raised on PBS. And so this is my childhood favorite episode, DW Thinks Big. There are 2 other ones on it, Arthur and DW Clean Up, For Whom the Bell Tolls, but DW Thinks Big was the main thing with this one. As a kid, and even watching this back here today, DW Thinks Big had some stuff that had me laughing, and it's a good thing. DW wants to be the help out in the wedding, but she's too small. And Arthur, not just that episode, but Arthur as a whole, especially the early years, has so much witty humor for parents that watching some episodes back, you know, as a kid, they just went right over my head. But Arthur has some really smart adult humor, and I don't mean inappropriate humor, I just mean witty, dry jokes that adults would find funny. And, you know, kids right over our heads, and Arthur's the master of that. Out of all the shows I watched as a kid, Arthur was the one that was the best with that. So that was my personal favorite episode, DW Thinks Big. But most importantly of all, you know, my favorite, it's hard to pick a number 1 favorite, but Thomas and Friends. And the old, like the George Carlin, Alec Baldwin era of Thomas and Friends. It's in the other room, but I have a spot. I had all the Thomas wooden railway sets, and I would always build different sets and take pictures of them. And I made a photo scrapbook of all the different tracks I would make, and I named them all too. Yeah, I'm not gonna. No use showing you that. You guys don't care, but I've got that in the other room. So. The VHS I remember watching the most as a little kid was this one called Spills and Chills. The thing with the early years of Thomas, it was surprisingly dark and a lot of action. Because you watch any of these shows nowadays, it's all, you know, rainbows, flowers, and butterflies. But back here, this one in particular, you've got an episode called Stepney Gets Lost, which is pretty much an episode about attempted murder. Rusty and the Boulder, which is look at it, these are all on YouTube. You want to spend 4.5 minutes and look these up, please do. If you look up any of them, look up Rusty and the Boulder. That entire episode is just a boulder rolling around smashing shit. It's like a chase. It's amazing. Duncan gets spooked. You get to see a train fall off a bridge and die. Haunted Henry is moody as hell, and I kind of love it. So, yeah, and a kid's show nowadays would never be like any of these 6 episodes. So that's why these old episodes of Thomas, you can't beat them. Because, plus it explains why, you know, stuff like this shapes you. And it's like, I'm sitting here talking about all these action shows and everything. Most of that probably comes from stuff like this. Because I'm sitting here watching trains crashing into shit, boulders crushing things, cars falling off bridges, you know. And kid shows would never go this way today. You know, that's why I'm happy to have grown up on this stuff and not the crap that's dumbing kids down nowadays. So there's my little rant. But no, and as I said, I plan on picking up more of these old ones just because, you know, it's fun revisiting. And Garfield and Friends. Who doesn't love Garfield, huh? I mean, come on, you know. The 100 Acres, I always forget the name. U.S. Acres. You know, U.S. Acres is fun too, but we all watch this show for Garfield. You know, Garfield, Odie, and John. And this is volume 1. It's got some great episodes in there. Who doesn't love Garfield? I need to pick up the Halloween and the Christmas specials and stuff like that. Those are all great. I mean, come on. Who doesn't love Garfield? I never saw the live-action movie. One of my friends is telling me not to, so but, you know, this is perfect. You can't hate on that, you know. Garfield, Odie, John, Nermal. And coming off, you know, Arthur, Thomas and Friends, Garfield and Friends, naturally, it's only sequential that our next is Volume 1 of Cheaters. I can't really defend myself here. This is trash daytime TV at its finest. But it's the kind that's entertaining, and you can't help but enjoy watching it. How much of this is staged? I don't know. Probably all of it, for all I know, but who knows? And it's just it's complete trash TV. But come on, who doesn't watch? If this or Maury Popovich is on, like, we all sit and watch it. We all want to figure out who the father is. No, I mean, let's be real here. So, hey, this was fun. You know, I'm not going to hide that. And lastly, as you guys know, I've spent a lot of years working for Sears. I worked at my Orland Park store for 3 years. And then just November through the first week of January, I was helping close the one in Joliet, Illinois, where I swiped this DVD from one of the drawers. It's the rewards program training DVD. It's the Sears Shop Your Way rewards training. And it's reenactments of, like, people doing Sears transactions. And it's so cheesy, the acting is so corny and terrible, it's fun to watch. So, I mean, that's Sears Shop Your Way, that was fun. I don't know how long I've been talking. Feels like a long time, probably too much. But there's my update. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to be busy at the second city, so I'm not sure how many videos like this are going to be coming up. But I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you take some of my recommendations. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Ciao. Oh, only 38 minutes. It's not as bad as I thought.